Well, hello. How the devil are you? I'm coming to you on YouTube because some horrible, rabidly obsessed TRA has decided to repeatedly report me, and they think it's very funny because they think they're very clever, and they're not. And they think they conned women, and they haven't. And all along, we thought they were a sociopath and an odd character, and they are, and they've been obsessed with me for a really long time. So now they're just repeatedly trying to prevent me from talking to women, because that would be the worst thing in the world, wouldn't it? If actually women knew what was going on. And that is my entire, that's exactly everything that I want to do. So anyway, when I go to, we now got an events page on Standing for Women. For example, when I go to Geneva and Vienna to do events there, it literally costs about £6,000 to do it. So if you would like to donate, it's all up in the corner. If you'd like to donate, what we really want you to do is be part of what we do and be the billboard. And today, I am wearing a suffragette flag, diamante on a green V-neck, which I have to say possibly is not as amazing as it is. This is like Kelly green, so it's a really good green. So that's what I'm wearing today. But let me just tell you, one of the reasons I really wanted to log in today is because I am banned from YouTube, and I really feel that by the time I start talking to you again, it's going to be a really long time. Um, this particular individual, like someone says here, they are just misogynistic terrorists at this point. I think this person had parents who basically didn't love them very much, and ignored them a lot. Potentially sent them away to boarding school. I'm not really sure, but they've told a range of stories, and one of the stories is about parents not caring about them and not wanting anything to do with them. And I think that is perhaps one of the only true things that they've said. Anyway, so what we have here is these. I cannot tell you how in love with them I am. Um, it really is one of the most amazing things I've ever sold. So in here, so this is, it is, you won't be able to see how see through it is, but it is a little bit, or maybe if I do this actually. So it is a little bit see through. So we've got black, and it's big enough for a beach towel, something to eat, and a drink. So it identifies as a beach bag. Then I think this is my second favorite color. Oh my God. I cannot tell you how much how I just love it so much. They came in today. They've got a nice little popper. They say clearly a woman, because nothing that happens here isn't bloody hilarious. So that one is clearly a woman, and it's got nice metal eyelets and a little bit of rope. And then I think this is my favorite, although I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's my favorite. It might be my favorite. Is that? I don't. Hang on. Let me just see if I can put something dark inside it so you can see the clearly a woman. But this is an iridescent kind of. I mean, come on. How lovely is that? That is like proper. You know what? Look, I design everything that we do, which may or may not be a good thing. But I design everything that we do. And I can honestly say sometimes things come in and I'm like, this is exactly how I thought. Sometimes it's, um, I have a pretty good idea when I design something how it's going to turn out. Often I'm really pleased. These, I love it so much, and it says clearly a woman because it's a transparent bag. How great is that? So I'll show you again. So this I just love it so much. So this is an iridescent, very, very super see-through. You can't put, well, you can, but everyone will see it. So that's that one. That's an iridescent one. So excited. And then this is the pink. It's just so lovely. I think, look, if these go well, there's no end of the sort of things I can do with these bags and designs. And I designed all of it. But I think clearly a woman really is the most funny thing I've ever seen in my life. And then if you don't want to go all pink, we have a black one that is still see-through, but just not as see-through. So you can probably have a couple of Mars bars in here and nobody would know. So how lovely are they? That's just mad, right? That's just mad. And then obviously we've got the t-shirt. But I meant to do one moment. And to do that the whole way. I just spent half an hour on getting that right. I hope that's working, because otherwise I just look like a fool. I don't know about you, but I can't wait to go on holiday. We'll just have some sound effects. So exciting. So exciting. I wanted to talk about who make better parents. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is I was in a space the other day, and there seems to be this weird idea that people who think parents should have rights are rabid right wingers. And actually, it's some sort of right wing conspiracy to control children. And I just want to address this because I think it's really, really important to be very, very clear. I think overwhelmingly, parents love their children more than the state. I think overwhelmingly, even a bad family is better than a bad state. I think when we think about children being taken out of even quite neglectful homes, they do worse in care. Now, maybe once your parents have shown themselves to be horrendous, maybe that your chances of actually coming out of that particular hole are slim. But we all know the stories of the most horrendous systemic abuse of children in care. And I think we absolutely have to, when people talk about parental rights, we have to think that most parents are good. They love their children. They may not make the same decisions or mistakes as I have. They may not think the same things are valuable like I do. They may not agree with you on whether or not you think bedtime should be 7 o'clock or 8, or whether you think children should have formula or be breastfed. But they will overwhelmingly, parents, even bad parents, will love their children more than anyone else. And there is something really sinister going on when it comes to accusations of right wing and far right are often interchangeable in these sorts of conversations. And we know that children get abused in their own homes. We know they do. We know that often, actually, it is a mother who invites an abuser into their home. We know that's true. I'm not saying that it's her fault, But I definitely know, and I think you definitely know, that there are situations in which women do not stand between an abuser and their children, or don't believe their children. Now, that isn't always, but I do think it's really important that we say that. And it is probably 90% of the time, certainly if it's sexual abuse, it will be a man either related to the child or having some sort of relationship with their mother. So I'm not saying that there aren't really horrendous, awful people out there, but the answer is not to relinquish all parental powers to the state. I think parents are the fundamental protectors of children. Mothers are the fundamental protectors of children, and then women. And I do think that this trans activism, the fact that they've co-opted, even like the NSPCC, Childline, Bernardo's, all of the children's charities, all of the people supposed to protect children, foster system, adoption, all of these places, social services, on every children's kind of panel in every council across the country. This crap is infiltrated and it is safeguarding. That is the fundamental goal. It's not like raging AGPs suddenly care about the welfare of children. The raging AGPs that may join your local council, join a commissioning group for children, uh, take on some activism all about children. We know that that person is really led by their own fetish and desire. We know that when an AGP joins the NSUWT, and one of the first things that AGP does is try to get boys into girls' changing rooms and himself into spaces with women, we know that he's never cared about what children are doing. He simply is trying to find another way to facilitate his fetish in public. I don't know why we are the only people that know that. That seems absolutely ridiculous because we know predators and predatory men do have fetishes. Not all fetishes are predatory. I think I have to say that. But people who have a desire, sexual desire to fulfill, whether it's feet, whether it's dressing as a woman, whether it's some sort of sadomasochism or pain. And it didn't surprise me the other day that one of the women who vociferously talks out against me used to be in BDSM kind of communities and kink communities. A lot of these women do. A lot of the women you see that are the rabidly obsessed women with me have been part of the so called BDSM communities. Maybe they're madams. Maybe they share a lot of sort of S&M type art, supposedly. But it doesn't surprise me that these women are closely linked to other sort of brands of misogyny. But when you see um, these men acting supposedly in the interests of children, you have to know that's part of their fetish. You have to know that a man's desire to make people uncomfortable will actually take over his life. A man who is an AGP who gets sexually aroused by dressing as women, eventually it will absorb every other part of his life. It will occupy his entire existence. And part of that is to go into women's spaces. And part of that will to disguise his fetish by pretending that he cares about children. So we are the last port of call when it comes to safeguarding children. We are. And I think we relinquish the power of parents at our peril because there has never been such organized, despicable, shameful sexual abuse of children as happening in care systems, in homes for children where they were already not being looked after or sometimes just taken because their mother was a fallen woman. Because she couldn't support them, or she couldn't support them because she was financially unable, or because she couldn't support them because she was some sort of harridan. and those children were put into care, and then they were repeatedly abused, whether that was in the care of the church or the state. So I cannot tell you, I cannot state this harshly enough and firmly enough. If you start accusing people who are looking out of the right for the rights of children as Nazis, as far right adjacent, as religious right, which often also in these conversations gets mixed up with far right, and it's only Christians, because apparently Muslims aren't the religious right, Hindus aren't the religious right. It's just Christians. Because we know that in comparison, Christianity is a much worse religion for women than Islam. In countries where there is majority Christian or majority Islam, I think if you compare them, I'm pretty sure we all know the truth about that. And we're not allowed to say it. That's Islamophobic or racist, because Christians are fair game. Even though we know that throughout South America, most of the country, A, are not white, and B, are Christian. And we know that in certain countries in Africa, Christianity is the main religion. So, anyway, that's enough said. I just think it's really important, because I've started hearing these echoes of people that talk about paedophilia, people that don't want their children groomed and sexualized are somehow linked to really nefarious people on the far right of politics, and that people who talk about parental rights are really against children. And I really want to knock that on the head, because I do feel that will grow and fester, just like women who don't want men in our spaces. Women that start standing up for the rights of children and safeguarding will be accused of also being far right. It is a pervert's charter. This accusation of everybody being far right, it is simply to stop you speaking. And I firmly believe that those women that do it claim it's in good faith. I think they are all bad actors. Every single one of them that do it. It is no mistake that there are rumors about some of the women that you probably know the names of have relationships, as in sexual relationships, with men who call themselves women. It is no coincidence that there are rumors about these women that they go to specific sort of S&M type group parties where there are men present who also call themselves women. I genuinely think they are a controlled opposition. I genuinely think that if you are brandishing women, people in general who stand up for the rights of children not to be sexualized, if you brand them far right in order to silence them, then I'm wondering what it is that you hope to gain. Do you hope there not to be anybody standing up for children? Is that what's genuinely happening here? Because that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. There's something really off about most of it. There's something really off about children's charities flying the Progress Pride flag. About children's charities, I think it's James S. on Twitter. And I think Sarah Fillimore, I'm sure, has done some work on this. That there are children's charities, before you and I knew anything about this, who've been co-opted to encourage girls to wear binders, to encourage children to transition. And I think we should all be really, really afraid. Anyway, I shall leave you with part of my normal joy and say, summer is coming. If you can resist and not listen to the vile accusations of people that try to protect children, then I promise we will win. If you can come to an event, the next one is for us, the last Sunday of this month. If you can come to Speaker's Corner, to Reformers Tree, to Let Women Speak, to the most incredible grassroots organized movement, and you can come and stand next to somebody and listen to the testimony of women, or even testify yourself, I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.